I caught my wife in an affair 2 months ago. We had been together 9 years, married for 5. I'm 28 now, so we met rather young and did a lot of learning and growing together. She always had guy friends that she would talk to, so when she mentioned that she was catching up with someone from her past, I didn't think too much of it. Honestly, I should have taken that as a red flag throughout the years, but me being a chill guy and not the jealous type, I didn't make a big deal out of it. We had been struggling in our marriage for the past 2 years now. I've made a lot of mistakes. Not cheating, just many moments where I could have been a better partner. She also has made a lot of mistakes in that sense. Yet I had been trying to save the marriage, constantly trying to do things to fix our problems and always asking her if she wanted to talk with that goal in mind. She didn't want to try. She asked for a divorce and kept telling me our relationship is over. I asked her what her plan was. She said she will start making plans and let me know, which she never did. She was comfortable with me supporting her and trying to help her with her mental health problems. She's bipolar and has depression. For the last 2 years, it's been a big part of her life. In December 2020, her dad and I had to take her to a behavioral hospital for the whole month because she became manic. Once she got out, she was on medication and it was obvious she wasn't the same person that she was before. I figured her wanting to split was due to her mental health. So it became another reason I took it easy on her with her talking to all sorts of people and going places without me and hanging with I don't know. I loved her and didn't want to stress her out or make the situation worse by getting onto her all the time. It just led to arguments. She would tell me she needs to live her life that way for her happiness. We have a 5-year-old daughter. She loves her daughter, but she wasn't focused on being a mother and wife. I was the one pushing for our family to stay together and find happiness in that sense. About 2 months ago, she didn't come home at night. She had been doing that for some time now and would tell me she was spending the night at a friend's house. That's when I started to get really suspicious. She walked in the next morning and I asked if there was something that I need to know. She said no and went to bed. For the first time in 2 years, she left her phone open and I told myself it's now or never. I took the phone and walked out the house and started going through it. I found the guy's number, called him, no answer. Then I saw the messages, proof that they had been intimate. I was shattered, but I kept my composure, went back into the house, and confronted her. She was like a deer in the headlights. I kicked her out that very moment. Now, she's pregnant with the guy. I'm positive it's not mine. We were last intimate in February, and apparently they first hooked up in March. Now my goal is to try to gain custody of my daughter and divorce her. The guy is a felon. I don't know what kind of lifestyle they plan on living, but I definitely don't want my daughter around people that make those types of decisions. I'm motivated by making sure my daughter is in a good place, and to make sure that she knows that she has one parent at least trying their very best for her future. I struggle every day still, but I have a good support group. My family, my friends, even her dad and some of her family say they are on my side. Everyone sees that what she did was completely selfish. It doesn't make a good image for her or the family in any way. I think a lot about things that I could have done better, but I realize it wasn't my fault. I tried my best to save my marriage. It was her decision. The week that I caught her, I found this subreddit. It's helped me tremendously and I felt like it was time for me to share my story. It motivated me to hit the gym, as well as concentrating on productive activities to distract myself from all the overthinking, and to better myself for my future and my daughter's future. Thank you all for your time. Story 2. And here I thought it would never happen to me. Me WW, together for 22 years, married 20, 3 kids, 2 young adults, 1 7-year-old. 5 years ago, the WW had a late life epiphany. Sex was good and enjoyable. We went from 1 to 2 times a month to daily, and sometimes, if time and responsibilities allowed, twice in the same day. The activities included seductive nudes sent to my phone or email and cutesy stuff, hearts and smillies reminiscent of our earlier days in the relationship before kids. Somewhere in this time, Jan 2018 talks about spicing up the bedroom by bringing another person in the mix. First red flag, it was a guy friend from our cohort that the WW suggested. Noped it hard with the simple reason of not my cup of tea to be naked in the same bed with another guy and my spouse. It got dropped then, but articles about poly and open relationships were being dropped on my inbox or links on the phone. I would read them, and vary from non-committal to not interested. A week before Thanksgiving 2018, we're out on a date, and the talk about including a third comes up. I ask if this hypothetical third has a name. It's a close friend with whom we spend a lot of time together, etc., and with whom the WW has spoken about this idea with already. Pay for the drinks, get in the car and proceed to flip my lid. 1. I never agreed to this. 2. For any such conversation I should have been present and not told after it was decided. 3. Fuck no. Literally. The holidays sucked for all, but it was one of the best weight loss programs for all adults in the house. Around Feb 2019 we get our shit together to talk it through. She's repentant and remorseful, admits poor judgment, and understands why I am not okay about the deceit, as well as the whole idea. She got it. Sex life took a hit. We managed to find a new pace, at least once a week, but the spark and lust were subdued. Earlier this year, apparent that I had a difficult relationship passed unexpectedly. I was there for a planned 4 days, stayed for 45 and a funeral. My baggage started resurfacing, especially some of the treatments that I experienced of being the safe one, the second choice. As I'm starting to deal with this crap milkshake of the soul, WW starts to be withdrawn. Always on electronics, limited conversation and only about the basics. Fuck, I'm at a place to deal with my loss and now this. Okay, I get on her machine after midnight when the house is all quiet and there's nothing in recent email. Or on FB and on phone messages. There's activity but nothing that points to coded or otherwise hidden messages. I check the time frames of 2017 to 2018. Bingo. I find sent emails to the friend from her with the same spicy pictures I was getting at the same time. FB Messenger for the same period is full of good mornings, smiley faces, hearts and flirting between them, video chats from 5 to 15 minutes. WW was starting a business and friend would stop by for coffee or lunch daily as he could. At the time he was there to help and advice. Flip of lid, part 2. The idiot awakens got the 20k volts coursing through me all night. Could not sleep, sit, just paced. Around 6 a.m. WW wakes and asks what's wrong. I open the laptop lid and show her the highlighted emails with her naked pics to the friend's email. No inbox, just sent files. I asked how would she react if she found out I had pictures of a naked woman on my machine and that they were of a time period covering at least 10 months prior to what I said was a silly mistake. I pointed out that she did lie. She did have at least an emotional affair with the now verified AP. And it was deliberate. Trust was lost and any statement from her at this point would be suspect to its truth. The first apologies of the WW ended in the trash can as she started to vomit. I asked why she did not tell me of this 4 years ago. We would have dealt with this already. I told her I'm taking the day to think about it and sharing because it can happen to anyone. None of us are special. And here I thought it would never happen to me. Update. Today is day of firsts. The outpouring of support and trauma shared is staggering. I find myself glad and sorry that I'm not alone in my experiences. Thank you to all for the advice, comments and suggestions from readings to step-by-step playthroughs. I have replied to individuals but it's worth updating all and clarifying some points before the update. She did have a miscarriage that was a bloody affair that we rushed to the ER for, with her soaked in her own blood. It was verified as such by the trauma staff and OBGYN at the hospital. It was early first trimester. No way to tell who the father was. This was early 2018. Got snipped shortly after. Sex life was still on the red-hot stage of things. I have heard from several of you that the DNA test route is a good idea. It's yet another truth that has been challenged today. Affair partner is single, has been divorced for at least as long as we were married. Racially we're European stock. He's mostly African American and Native American. He's very well spoken, charming and educated. WS was engaged in minority community outreach and education for years as was AP. WS nascent business was with an actual storefront. Sure there were spaces that two adults could be intimate in. If there's a will there's a way. AP runs his own consultancy and makes his own hours. Flexible schedule and has small business experience. Offered to help with the startup and was an advisor. Again legitimate reasons to be there plus time. Business was started in the fall of 2015. Storefront opened in winter of 2016. Closed shop spring of 2019. Good idea, bad execution. In retrospect, WS had her mind and focus elsewhere. And yes, the more I reread this text, the more of a calamity this man was for us. After spending the day in disbelief, anger and errant voltage running through me, I came home. My insides are playing death metal while outwardly I whistle easy listening tunes. WS is on the couch collapsed in on herself. She tried to get up to greet me and just I pointed my hands at her. She sits. I grab the chair as far from the couch as I can. I inform her that I'm with one foot out the door. I will decide which direction I move in the relationship based on what she does next. I tell her that since she's the mother of the kids, and out of respect for our time together I will endeavor to keep nastiness on my part to a minimum. I remind her it's more fair than she deserves and it's because of my self-respect. Not her actions. Because of her fucked up upbringing and the abandonment she experienced. I tell her not to be afraid of me disappearing. I tell her that if leave, she will be explicitly told. I also let her know that her presence in the house is at my discretion at this point. She has luggage and can be told to leave if at any point she disrespects me or tries to lie. We discuss how to tell the kids. She wants to tell them it's the fight from 2018. I remind her how one of the then teens stopped speaking to her and how she would be a pariah once again in house. She starts crying and I remind her she did this. I will talk to the kids with her there. She shook her head and cried. In return, to begin with, start with the no contact letter to AP. Start the timeline on paper. Anything not true, we're done right there. A list of passwords to accounts, bank and plastic records. She gets the couch. I will let her know what next. Before I leave the room I asked her who is she. She has become a stranger.